Good evening and welcome to the Almost Comic COVID Release Show. And to start off the proceedings, please welcome from Burnaby, British Columbia, Gareth Jocular.
Audio Jungle.
What was that? Oh, over there? Okay. Here? Good evening. My name is Gareth Jocular, and yes, I'm from Burnaby, British Columbia. And I'm here tonight to hopefully give you a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of a break from these trying times. And of course, speaking of the virus, catching up on some of those chores that have been hanging around forever. I was cleaning the attic the other day with my wife, and I haven't been able to get the cobwebs out of her hair since. So it's tough times, and people are getting desperate. I mean, a guy actually broke into her house the other night, and I said, what the hell are you doing? And he said, well, I'm searching for money. So I got up out of bed and searched with him. And I don't know about you, but I am watching a ton of television, and in particular Netflix, during the pandemic here. And how about that show, The Queen's Gambit? The one about the chess. And I've been reading that because of that show, the interest in chess, particularly by young people, has just gone through the roof. So I have a good friend of mine who's quite the chess player. So I said, I really would like your take on this whole chess thing. And I said, well, let's go out for dinner. So we go out to this Italian restaurant, with the red and white tablecloths and that. And we're sitting down and just about to start dinner. And I said, can you pass the salt? Well, it took him 2 hours to pass me the salt. And this whole thing, is also messing with relationships. I mean, my wife and I are having a tough time, so we're, going to a marriage counselor, separate sessions. But my last session, the marriage counselor said, yeah, your wife is really upset. She said you won't buy her flowers. And I had to admit to her, I says, I didn't know she sold flowers. Yeah, people are just fragile. So you have to be, so careful with your relationships. In fact, a study came out that said women that carry a little extra weight live a lot longer than men who mention it. And how about that situation in Hong Kong? I mean, it's outrageous. I have a good friend that lives there, so I called him up and I said, how's it going? And he said, well, I can't complain. Oh, and I was reading another study that said the worst time to have a heart attack is when you're playing charades. Because no one's going to call 911 for a while. Yeah, well, and I used to do a lot of jokes about unemployed people, but none of them seem to work very well at all. I recently bought a pair of those camouflage pants, camos. I thought they looked really cool. Well, I went into my room the other day and I couldn't find them. I don't know about you, but I have the worst time remembering my password. I could do one in the morning, and by the evening I've forgotten it. So I thought, I gotta keep this simple. So I thought, I'll just make my password penis. I mean, I'm not gonna forget that, right? So there I am, typing my password in. I get this error message and says, it's too short. I was out walking the other day, getting a little fresh air, and I see this woman on the street, and she's wearing a sweatshirt with a big guess on it. So I said, implants? Okay, how about a little audience participation? So I'm going to start this sentence, and why don't you try to finish it, okay? So, always borrow money from a pessimist because... Anybody? Guesses? Right. He won't expect it back. Yeah, I've been doing a fair amount of walking during this pandemic period. And in fact, just the other day, a friend and I were walking in the country, walking through a field. Big oak tree in the middle of the field. Looked familiar. And then it came to me. And I told him, I said, hey, you see that oak tree? He said, yeah. I said, I made love under that oak tree for the first time. And he said, really? And you remember this? And I said, well, of course I remember it. I said, it was a little awkward. And he said, well, what do you mean by awkward? I said, well, her mother came by and actually watched us. And he said, really? What did she say? And I told him, bah! And of course, there's no travel during the pandemic. And, really missed the travel. Used to travel a fair amount. Did remind me of a story. I was in Scotland, in a small town in Scotland, not that long ago. When I found a local pub, went into the pub. Beautiful atmospheric place, as you might imagine. Got my beer, sat down. Almost immediately, I noticed this older gentleman at the next table. And he's all slumped over. And he just didn't look very happy, didn't look very good. So I had to say to him, I said, "Sir, are you okay?" And he kind of looked up, he looked at me, and he pointed. He says, "Lad, you see that stone wall down there?" So I, looked around and I said, yeah, that looks like it goes on for quite a ways. He says, "You're damn right, it goes on for a full kilometer." So I said, "Well, sir, what about the wall?" He said, "Well, I built that wall. I built that wall with my bare hands. I found every stone, every rock for that wall. I had to go through the whole county, brought the rocks back, brought the stones back, put them in the wall. That wall will last forever." And so I said, "Wow, that is quite something." I said, "I can't imagine." And I said, well done." He says, "Well done? You're saying well done. But do you think anybody around here remembers me for building that wall? Do you think they remember the blood, sweat, and tears it took me to build that wall?" So I said, the only thing I know is I think that's an amazing, before I could finish consoling him, he says, "Lad, look up on the hill. You see the church up on the hill?" I said, yeah. I said, that's a big church. And he said, "You're damn right. It's the biggest church in the county." And I said, "Wow, let me guess, you had something to do with the church too?" And he says, "You're damn right. I built that church, every stone, with my bare hands. I put every stone in place, lovingly. And that church is going to last forever." And I looked, I said, "Well, I'm speechless. That's an amazing accomplishment." And again, before I could finish, he says, "Well, you're saying amazing. You're saying amazing, but do you think anybody around here remembers me for building that church? No way." So again, I'm going, well, I just can't imagine. I'm trying to console him and all that. And he interrupts me again. He says, "Lad, the town hall, just out there, you see it?" I look around and I said, "Yeah, that's a big structure." I said, "So again, you had something to do with that?" And he says, "You're damn right. I built that town hall with my bare hands. Blood, sweat, and tears. It took me 7 years to build that one." I said, "Well, that's incredible." And he says, "Yes, I put every stone in place. I found every timber for the roof. I built that town hall. That town hall will be there forever." And I said, "Well, one more time, that's incredible." He says, "You think anybody remembers me for that town hall? Do you really? And the church? And the stone wall?" And he looks at me and says, "But you fuck one goat." What's that? Oh, okay. You know what? I'm sorry. My time is up. I've really enjoyed it. I really wanted to tell you one more joke about this golfer. He takes a swing, hits his drive, and all of a sudden he sees his wife is dead over. But I can't finish. I gotta go. But all the best during the pandemic, and thanks for listening tonight.